Hi, John.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, John. Thanks for your time today. A lot of people interested in purchasing your Compact Plus would like to know the following. So we certainly appreciate the opportunity to present this machine through Used Structural Machinery as the exclusive person responsible for this. So you purchased a Zeman steel beam assembly machine, Compact Plus, which has 2 welding robots with Syncro capability. We've known each other since 2001 when we started evaluating the process. Can you let us know what your role with the business and how long you've been in your position?
Yeah, Todd, I've been with the business now for about nearly 5 years. Previously, I was a project manager within the business, and now I've been in my role as a general manager for the past nearly 2.5 years.
Perfect. And then, John, the SBA is still very young and under warranty, as your workshop only signed off on February the 1st, 2022, like this year. How hard has the SBA actually worked?
Well, Todd, we put the machine in with a forecast, or basically just a business plan to go into the structural steel game. And when we put the machine in, we actually managed to land a big contract with a coal mine doing all chute work, and also another company doing other assemblies that weren't really suited for the machine, which is now a 24-month contract. So the machine has actually only done 3 small jobs and training of our staff. So very little work. So
I'd consider it a new machine, and I think fabricators would as well. And look, sometimes it does go like that, John. Yeah. So the Zeman, as you know, can't fabricate chutes and coal mining bins and reclaimers. So thank you for your input there. As your workshop was the first order after Lincoln Electric purchased Zeman, can you tell us of your experiences with Lincoln Electric as the new owners of Zeman whilst they are working through their acquisition of Zeman?
So, Todd, with that, I mean, it's very hard to explain because realistically, we didn't notice any change. So whether we were going through it at the stage, I think Lincoln took over just as we'd installed the machine. We had no idea about the acquisition taking place, and we wouldn't have known without receiving the notification. So
yeah, it was interesting. You guys partnered with Zeman in March 2021, and on April 1st, just as a quick backstory, Andreas rang me. It was the Thursday before a Good Friday Easter, like Aussies were about to go away, and he said, "Oh, Todd, you know, Lincoln Company's purchased us." I said, "Is this an April Fool's joke?" And he said, "No." Oh, okay. So you certainly were the first Zeman client for Lincoln, and it was good that it ran on time and it was seamless. So can you share with us your experience, your experiences and some of the reasons why you, like 7 other regional fabricators in Australia and New Zealand, have invested in the Zeman's SBA? It's just interesting how 7 regional guys have partnered with Zeman.
Look, Todd, I mean, some of the main reasons we looked at it was the shortage of skilled labour. Basically, it takes over a lot of those issues of trying to find labour, labour turning up for work. It also creates efficiencies and a lot better quality with some of that labour. So I suppose we're looking at the future and seeing how we can minimise the loss to the business, and that was our strategy at that stage. But as mentioned before, that all changed. So
and we'll get to that in a moment. John, Zeman has received 4 contracts or clients like yourself who decided to invest in the Zeman instead of and they didn't have any traditional steel processing machines, beam lines or coping robots. What are some of the reasons why your workshop invested in the steel beam assembly prior to having a beamline or coping robot commissioned inside your workshop, just in case there's other buyers who are interested in your machine who are in a similar position?
Yeah, so with us, Todd, I mean, beamline buying process material is it's not an issue. Purchasing process material, there's a number of resources around that can do it. We thought the better investment was to look at the issues we have within the business, and that main issue again went back to the labour and the throughput we could get through the shop. So we just wanted to minimise any loss of productivity. And
Zeman's often said, because that, you know, before Lincoln purchased them, that they were a fabricator. In fact, Zeman still are a fabricator, but they obviously didn't sell that part of the business. 25% of licking your thumb again, 25% of your costs is still processing and adding value to your profile and your parts. 25% tacking and assembling, which a lot would say is the most complicated part, and 30% welding, 20% shot blasting and painting. So if you're addressing 55% of the heavy amount of labour and where the skills are going, you know, that makes sense to me. So when fabricators invest in a Zeman or any automation into their business, they're clearly married to the software for the next 20 years. How was your experience with the Zeman ProFit software? For instance, when you were training on it, was it?
Oh, look, the training on that was very easy. I mean, we've got a team of draftsmen. We have one in particular that was involved in the training of it, and also a TA that we'd used off the floor as an operator. Both guys picked it up very quickly with minimal fuss. And with it being sort of involved with Tekla, both guys also had to learn a bit of Tekla and had no issues with that either. So
I think when Lincoln purchased Zeman, they were basically purchasing 1 million lines of code, making it a very simple statement. But the software really needs to work, and you know, that's a lot of this is software, and it's I'm very pleased that it is easy, and your TA, your trade assistant, be driving the machine effectively and safely, and all the rest. So.
On that, Todd, that was probably one of the main reasons for picking a Zeman over other products was the ease of programming. We understood that from the start. So,
look again, we've seen our natural competitors, and it's actually nice to have some competitors. If you're the only one doing it, people think, oh, gee, your price is high, and you know, because there's no competition. So the other guys are still really struggling with the assembly side of things. And because Zeman were a fabricator and they had this machine inside their workshop, initially in Austria, then in Poland. In fact, when Lincoln purchased Zeman, they ordered a brand new Zeman for their Polish workshop. So that's always a strong testament to say they're still committed to the technology. So, John, a lot of people will be interested in what were some of the reasons behind investing in the second welding robot. You know, the Plus is always the second welding robot, and the Syncro capability.
Yeah. So for us, Todd, it was a big thing to be able to weld out larger beams. So basically, with the larger beams, as you're aware, even though you're assembling it, there's a lot of time in welding those out. So if we can do those on the machine and push out larger tonnage, basically it's better for the business. So
John, if we fly through a few true or false or yes and no, if I remember correctly, but maybe I didn't, perhaps straighten me up in front of goal. Some of the reasons why when in fact, have I mentioned that your business has recently been sold after it was commissioning?
No, you haven't mentioned that, but that has happened.
Yep.
It has happened, and I suppose we had a strategy in place with the previous owner where we were going to go down the line of structural steel. We were doing a lot of infrastructure within Sydney and some regional areas, But like I said previously, that our strategy has changed with the new owner. The new owner comes from a production line based business, and we're looking at mining. We're also looking at, like I said, we've got a 24-month contract we're about to pick up, fabricating modular buildings. So again, these are all things that the robot won't do, and we're looking at getting back that footprint within the workshop, because that's the direction we're going. So.
And we'll talk about the timing of it all shortly. So when the previous and the previous owner has sold the business and retired, I think he said he was in Italy or something.
Yeah, he's actually moved over to Bulgaria.
Oh,
So,
good on him.
Yeah, lucky him.
He was a super bloke. And look, I've actually seen workshops in the past partner with me or others, limited automation inside their workshop. So the new owner says, well, what am I really investing in? So it's always, I have seen businesses in the past invest in equipment to add value to their business before selling. I don't know if that was a strategy or not. It's none of my business, but I've seen it happen before. So strategy 1, true or false, or please add comment to it. The Compact Plus was commissioned to fabricate and weld a variety of universal beams, parallel flange channel, PFCs or channel, SHS, RHS, and welded beams up to 1100 millimeters wide and 18 meters long, with a total weight, including all the add-on parts assembled onto the beam, of 5,000 kilograms, using 2 welding robots working with the Syncro capability. Have I articulated that strategy correctly?
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
It was based around living infrastructure. So.
Yep. Strategy 2, the business had identified the limited overhead cranes that in every workshop really were used for various material handling duties, unloading trucks, loading trucks, and then the fitters had to rotate the beams. And I think you mentioned earlier, that's why you were looking to have the second welding robot to weld out those heavier beams to avoid the bottlenecks of material handling and limited cranes inside your workshop. So I think we signed off on that one earlier.
Yeah, definitely. With the rotator in place, it made a big difference. So.
Yep. Strategy 3, your workshop had identified for every 1,500 tonne of fabricated and welded product run through the Zeman, the forecast and steel margin may be close to about 750 grand. So the strategy with the previous owner was to increase the output of fabrication from a smaller footprint. Is that a fair comment to say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And 1,500 tonne, if you're doing those wider beams, you'll soon hit that number, but tonnage is always subjective, as we know. So strategy 4, the investment in automating the steel beam assembly and welding for the beams and profiles would allow your workshop to deploy the skilled labour historically used for that to fabricate the miscellaneous steel work that couldn't be fabricated through the Zeman SBA, the handrails, the stair stringers, the plate, and all that sort of stuff. So you don't wave goodbye to those 10, 15, 20 guys. You just deploy them into the work that the Zeman doesn't do.
Yeah, that's right, Todd. I mean, you want to keep your workforce that you've got, but you're increasing output.
Correct. Strategy 5, the previous owner wanted to invest in the Zeman SBA to fabricate and weld more complex steel projects that historically required a heavy amount of supervision and quality control inside the workshop. And obviously with the Zeman, you're having a lot of confidence in the technology. You shouldn't be having to rework on site because it should be impossible to tack and assemble the incorrect part in the correct position or the correct part on the incorrect position of the beam. So you pick up those savings from rework and also heavy supervision and quality and safety inside your workshop. That's
definitely.
correct.
And you're also picking up the efficiency in the assembly. I mean, that's a major thing.
And while still service centres don't do layout marking, there's at the amount of money they're charging at the moment per tonne, it's anyway. maybe those prices will come down a bit when China starts dumping fabricated steel back into the country, but that's another comment for another day, John. So the final strategy, if I remember correctly, and I mean, these are generic strategies that most Zeman customers consider and evaluate, as we would want the new buyer of your machine to. Your workshop wanted to take on more than one project at the time, so automating the assembling and welding process would allow the new owner of the SBA or your workshop to provide accurate fabricated steel and win jobs on tighter delivery schedules many projects are awarded on.
Yep, definitely, Todd. So.
Perfect. So John, many fabricators would like your opinion on how the Syncro has performed, because they will be aware that this capability has been in the market for 3 years, and it really took Zeman some time to look. They were busy developing other machines and growing, etc. But the Syncro has been in, I think, for at least 3 years. How have you found it's performed?
Yeah, look, we've found it very quick. So it's been very efficient. I believe it's easy to program. Look, I'd definitely go down that track again if I was looking at large structural steel. I think what you get out of being able to weld half the members whilst the other one is tacking, I think that's a great plus, to be honest.
And Zeman, I can assure you, they said, Todd, stop asking. We'll let you know when we've developed it. It's definitely in the development plan, and all the time studies from Zeman, not from myself, say, look, you can say not safely, but please forecast about 20% faster weld out. So, look, again, the fabricator has to do his own evaluation. But if I was to do a nice generic, over the year, maybe with one welding robot, it might be over 5 minutes to weld out, the historical add-on part, 4 minutes without the Syncro per add-on part, but 3 minutes per add-on part with the Syncro. So it all depends how many add-on parts you have, and that is a very generic comment. So you mentioned to me previously that the workshop had been fabricating bin chutes, plate work to support the mining industry that obviously don't go through the SBA. Can you share with us your experience if your workshop had deployed the Compact Plus to weld out beams? And I know you did a lot of evaluation this before you partnered with Zeman. Mill scale and rust. What was your experience after commissioning the machine?
Yeah, look, to be honest, when we first commissioned the machine, we had a little bit of issues with it, but Zeman helped us out with that. And since then, and we've also spoken to some other manufacturers that have got similar machines. We've now had no issues with the welding over the mill scale. So.
And look, personally, I still say get your wide brush out and your little Bunnings Makita, give it a blow job so all the mill scale and rust blows through the channel or something like that. Your operator's certainly got plenty of time to do that if you're welding out. Always great to have a shot blasting machine, but it's all about floor space and this, that, and all the rest. So there are workarounds with any limitation on a Zeman. There's always a workaround. And I think you may have to put a more expensive welding wire in if you want to do the mill scale and rust, but some people are doing it either way. So
yeah, so there's manufacturers that are actually based on very coastal areas, and when we spoke to them, that's why we spoke to them, because they didn't have a shot blast unit, they weren't prepping the steel, and they were welding straight out. So that's where we went to, and they were helpful with what they were doing. So
and that's clearly on older welding robots. I think you went and visited, whether it be the 5th or the 6th order from Zeman. In fact, it was quite a historic day. Both contracts were signed on the same day and emailed. I'd love to have that happen again, but so that was a 5th and 6th machine. But yeah, all your welders from Ferronius are latest generation. Your software is going to be upgraded. There's going to be very few software upgrades required. But yes, all the capability on your machine is current, which is very appealing to the new buyer of your machine. So with John, with your current workload going through your workshop that you've discussed in the next 12 to 24 months, the Compact Plus is available for immediate sale, so you can retask the workshop footprint that is suited for the bolted modular fabrications contracts that you've got coming up and you've been awarded. So it's worth discussing the following decommissioning and recommissioning schedules, obviously, that Zeman are going to be heavily involved in and responsible for. But from your perspective, just from a timing point of view, and again, it's really Zeman who are going to be project managing this. It's rare to have a Zeman first one ex stock in Australia, etc. How get to the point, Todd? How quickly the commissioning can you tell us how it was commissioned from Zeman as a rough one, if you can stretch your mind back like that, or I might be able to guide you and say, yep, it was about.
Yeah, look, Todd. Overall, the assembly and commissioning. So the assembly took about 4 weeks, including in that was a little bit of training for the last week. Then there was a couple of weeks of training, so all up it took about 6 weeks. And we put, I think it was 4 guys through the training, plus that draftsman. He wasn't there full time, he was just in and out of there. But yeah, look, about 6 weeks all up. Very easy to deal with Zeman. There was no special equipment required. Currently, even through the training, we didn't have the power there to use with the machine and the feed, so we've used a generator at the time to run the machine. Yeah, look, it's been very, very easy going. So.
And keep in mind, this was during COVID, anyway, I really feel like COVID's so 2021.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the world moving on, and we've survived, and all good for everyone. And obviously, the Zeman is a COVID-friendly machine. So, John, look, my feeling is 3 weeks for mechanical installation, 2 weeks to electrically connect it, 1 week for commissioning and testing and calibrating. So what's 6 weeks, and then 2 weeks software. And then historically, it would be safe to put in a return visit because I think most Zeman customers have required that in the past, or just to get off the P plates and et cetera, et cetera. It just depends how much work's going through your workshop at the time. That's that. And we've discussed maybe, again, Zeman's going to be involved, but 3 to 4 weeks, I think 4 would be too much, but for decommissioning, packing it correctly, whether it be in sea freight containers on the back of the truck with the sides all protected from the elements. So the reason it's worth mentioning that, John, is the ideal customer, I believe, is going to have a lot of work on. And if we said 4 weeks for the decommissioning, then some freight to their workshop, 8 weeks to get it up and running, because the Zeman technicians are going to be available in 2023. The new owner certainly will want that in before June 30, installed, commissioned, trained. They're the rules to pick up the depreciation allowance. We're pricing this machine to have it sold in November. You've mentioned that you're available to show people with myself the machine who are qualified buyers, not just people who are curious, because the way I feel this project's going to go is the fabricator who's got of course, we'll be glad just to supply the Compact Plus. And I'm not saying, do you want fries with this, but if you do have the footprint for the in-feed stockyard and the out-feed unloading station, that will allow that fabricator to get more tonnage through their machine, and it's quite significant. And if they order the machine and purchase the machine in November, they can place the order to Zeman for that capability, and the depreciation allowance would pay for that extra capability. So they won't be able to do that if it's ordered, in April. It simply won't get here in time. So there's a real benefit for us to be effective and efficient here for that resourced fabricator who does have the footprint. That's the way I think it's going to go. And this will be the last Zeman commissioned in Australia that will qualify for the pre-loved, so for the depreciation allowance. And because it's pre-loved, the fabricator can't be turning over more than 500 million in their group. So it's a perfect buying environment for that fabricator to secure a very rare ex-stock machine. So thank you for the opportunity to present this machine. You are the first customer that Specialist Machinery Sales has partnered with in 16 years that have sold a machine that I've been involved in supplying, and that's a record I've been quite proud of. But in a way, I kind of figure, well, I sold it to yourself, and the previous business owner and the new owner has got a new strategy. So sometimes that's how it works. John, is there anything else you'd like to suggest to the new owner, your regional country fellow, with a good work ethic, and I can certainly trust you. That's why I bought the machine. But tell me.
No, look, Todd, I mean, for the business that's got the strategy that wants to grow doing structural steel, I mean, it's a great investment. I mean, it's just a shame for us that that's not where we're heading, because I think the machine is, if you look at the future with labour and what the industry has to offer, I think, and what the machine has to offer, I should say, the benefits really are substantial. It's just that, like I said, the strategy we're going down is a totally different path. After all the work we put in to put the machine in and travel around and the resourcing, it'll be disappointing to see it go. But right now, at the moment, I have a workshop that's chock-a-block full of stuff that I can't put through it. So, and I've got that for the next 12 months, 24 months. So, yeah.
And John, I'm sure if you had a bigger workshop and name a fabricator who's ever complained about having too big a workshop, you'd say, right, there's my workshop bay for bins and chutes. Here's my workshop bay for bolted modular, whatever they are. And here's my bay for stick steel through the Zeman. I mean, come on. And here's a beamline and here's a coping robot. But in reality, not so. I think the Australian Steel Institute at the start of the year put out a publication in the ASI magazine, which it recalibrated my thinking. 92% of the fabricators inside in Australia, I think, employ less than 20 people inside their workshop and their office. Just out of interest, are you around that number? How many people inside the office and the workshop were you guys employing when you partnered with Zeman back in March 2021?
Yeah, look, we may be a little bit of a different business to a few, Todd, because we've got the three entities. Because we've got the design team, we've got the manufacturing business, and we've also got the mine servicing division. So our office, we've got quite a large office contingent to service all that.
You wouldn't be the only fabricator in Australia who does a lot of installations on mine sites and has cranes and this, that, and all the rest, because between you and me, the banks don't mind lending money to a Zeman if you've got a fleet of cranes, and we'll wait 2 years, and just on that, cranes are very difficult to purchase at the moment. If there was an ex-stock Lieberherr crane floating around, it'll be picked up pretty quickly because someone's got a contract for that. We're hoping the same is going to apply for this market. The benefit for the buyer at the moment is fabricated steel doesn't appear to be dumped into Australia from China at the moment. It's a lot more difficult to get the 457 visas from low-cost countries because of COVID and the like. A lot of infrastructure spend, as you'd identified. So the business and a lot of workshops are busy. So and then the schedule. So I think we're going to be. That's the reason I purchased a machine from you, John, because I believe we'll be able to find a home for this before the end of the year. So thank you for your time. We look forward to bringing some people up who've been considering the Zeman for a long time. And a lot of the time, these fabricators have said, oh, gee, I'm not sure where the market will be in 14 months' time when I'm ready to turn the key. The current delivery for the Zeman is 12 months on the back of the truck in Austria, 2 months shipping, 2 months installation. A lot of fabricators say, gee, that's a lot of money to be put out for that amount of time. Not sure where the work will be in 14 months' time. So your ex-stock machine is certainly going to be very attractive to a lot of buyers. John, thank you for your time. This saves me telling everyone the reasons why your business is selling this machine, and they always want to hear it from you. And this is why I said, if I'm going to buy this machine off you, we need to have this video testimony because buyers certainly need to hear it from you. So thank you for that, John. A man of honor and much appreciated.
No worries, Todd. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Hopefully I'll get some floor space back soon.
well, and yes, that's certainly the idea. So I'll stop the video, John, and we'll have a chat on Sunday.
No worries.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Todd.
Okay, so that video is stop recording.